everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Cosmic Conduit podcast. I am Vanessa Nova.
And I'm Vila Loukas, and we are so glad you are here with us. Our topic today, we are diving into the world of Libra.
You're a Libra, right?
I am. This is my home sign.
It's your sun sign. It's my moon sign. So it's a really close to home for both of us.
It really is. And you know, the other cool thing, Vanessa, that I'm so excited about in this episode is that we have come all the way to halfway through the wheel. We're on to where we're actually coming to the other side of our first axis. So we started with Aries, and we had the Aries Libra axis from the Aries perspective, and now we're going to be exploring Libra, and then we'll get to see that same axis from the other side. So lots of really beautiful, juicy, yummy, amazing themes here. And so for those of you who may be new to our podcast here, this is the Cosmic Conduit. Vanessa and I are both certified healers and guides with the Modern Mystery School. We help people find a deeper connection to their authentic self, to life purpose, to what they're really here to do. And in this podcast series, we're exploring the world of archetypes, the magic of archetypes, and how in the ancient traditions, there's a lot of deeper layers when we're doing our own spiritual alchemical work of know thyself, know who you really are at this deeper level. And so, yes, we're looking at the zodiacal signs in kind of some of the traditional things you might know from traditional astrology, but we're not astrologists. We're not really about, looking from that particular perspective of birth chart. You heard us just say, we both have Libra in our charts. So we have an awareness of the influence of these energies for ourselves. But the whole point is that we have the entire wheel to work with in supporting the kind of magic we want to create in our lives. Would you agree with that, Vanessa?
100%. I was actually thinking about it lately. Like, what is it that we're doing here? And, it's always an opportunity every episode. And we have these conversations, you and I, all the time. But I think it's like an opportunity to keep defining what we're doing here with this work. And I was thinking about that really recently. And I was thinking that what we're doing here is really giving this opportunity for self-mastery, and to actually understand ourselves and how we can play different roles in life. And we need to do that more moving into the new paradigm, moving into these times of so much change in the world. We need a navigation system for knowing ourselves so that we know how to be actually, on the higher levels and on the most optimized frequencies of who we can show up as in the world as leaders.
Yes. So you said two of my favorite words together, self-mastery. I love it. And, that's what the cosmic conduit is. Sometimes we sort of forget to remind ourselves, like, what are we even talking about? Yes, we're working at the wheel, but we're working with the wheel, the zodiacal wheel, and those archetypes within us. So we are the conduit. You are the cosmic conduit. I am the cosmic conduit. Each individual, we have the capacity to be this instrument through which all of these energies can come through, and we can create our magic. We can create our brilliance. We can shine our light. We can live our purpose. We can give our gifts. And ultimately, that is what we're here to do. And that's what self-mastery is about. And I love that we're already, kind of weaving these themes, because the theme, we're going to be talking about harmony in the world of Libra here, and the instruments of harmony. That's what we are in creating this beautiful, tapestry of sound and capacity and energy and magic and making things happen. So yeah, let's dive in. So Libra coming together right here. So the end of September through the month of October, it's fall. In the Northern Hemisphere, we're working with, the turn of the seasons, and we have the kickoff of Libra as the fall equinox, and which is when we have equal light and equal dark. And for me, of course, as a Libra, I love this time of year. But I also find that there's this really specific kind of magic that happens when summer moves into fall. We have the harvest coming in, we have the changing of the colors. We have the changing of the light, where it's been this like really, really uber bright, kind of intense summer sun. In Virgo, we had that diminishing a little bit as we're coming into, the end of summer. And then here we have it really as the kickoff into the darker months. So I know, Vanessa, you're in Hawaii, which doesn't have quite the shift as when you were living further north. But what is it for you that fall or this season really kind of highlights for you?
I was just feeling into that because, well, I was feeling into that in preparation for this episode. And I definitely, being in Hawaii, we don't have 4 seasons, we don't really have a fall, but I did feel a really big shift. And for me, it's like always this time of year is sort of like this preparation and this getting ready for like the darker time and like going inwards. And I usually do, like, towards the end of the year, spend a lot of time like with self-reflection and going inwards and examining, all of these different layers of myself and my work and my relationships in the world. So I think that for me, it's been like this subtle but powerful shift that I haven't really been able to put my finger on. And I haven't, to be honest, I haven't really tapped into the Libra energy as much as I have like in the past signs, even though Libra is my moon. But I have it's a really strong presence in my life. Obviously, you're a Libra and you're a strong presence in my life too. So I'm curious to hear like how the season, specifically Libra, has, coming into your sign, your sun sign, like how has that shown up for you?
Yeah, well, it's been it's been a little bit brutal, to be honest. um, you know, so what we know. Let's talk about what we know about Libra. So just to kind of get everybody's more more the traditional understanding of what Libra energy is, and then what we love to do here is kind of go underneath that and like where's the nitty gritty, where are those juicy bits that make it that we can utilize and work with to really flip the energy when we have that shadow side coming in, and where we want to really be emphasizing the strengths of each of the zodiacal signs, and then the new paradigm expression. So generally, Libra is known to be very sociable, right? Good social skills. Libras are good about relationships. Libra is all about relationships. And so, Libras tend to be, good at relationships, and, easy in in the realm of the social world, and communicative, and good at seeing different perspectives, right? So with the scales, you've got two sides. And so Libras are very good at like being able to put themselves in other people's shoes. So it's an air sign. And so those are some of the big highlights, right? Where it's like the communication within relationships, being very perceptive of what's happening in relationship to others, which is a great sort of natural skill set. Another piece of Libra that is, I know, is something you value a lot too in your world, Vanessa, is beauty. There's a lot of aesthetic. Venus is the ruling sign or the ruling planet of Libra. And so having that love of beautiful things, wanting to look beautiful, wanting to be in an environment that is beautiful and aesthetically pleasing and harmonious, and that's kind of where I would take the world of beauty and harmony and kind of put those together. What might you add to that or emphasize there?
Yeah, I think for me, when I think about Libra, I think about like those keywords that you said, harmony and beauty, because we have Venus coming in. And so that kind of translates to the harmony being on all these levels. Like it translates to, there has to be a certain aesthetic and placements and things, and like the home, and even, as far as like how your appearance is, how you show up with your clothing and your hair and all those things. So like that's sort of a superficial thing if you look at it from the outside, but really that desire for harmony, like in relationships or in the relationship of like what my outfit looks like, you know what I mean? The relationship of what my home looks like. It's all about relationships. It's all about like this desire for balance, equilibrium, and harmony. So, all of that just relates to each other in all these different ways, right?
Yes. And you know, we had talked about coming into this, the world of sound healing. I kind of just want to go right there because it's coming up so big in the things that you're speaking to, in that, you know, when you think about what it takes to have harmony, so harmony can't happen in isolation. So right then and there, we're already speaking to the relational aspect,
Hmm.
that is guaranteed in the world of Libra. There's no such thing. You can't have, you know, the scales have two sides to them, right? There's not just one. There's no
Right. There's
singularity.
duality. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Which, you know, we'll talk about it more in our, you know, in our Aries, our Libra Aries um, episode, which will be the next one. But, you know, Aries is very singular. So that's where we have like the self and the will and the one, right? And then here with Libra, we have at least the two,
Mm.
and then sometimes the multiple. So in order to have harmony, there has to be at least two distinct frequencies going on. And so in sound, you know, so in music and,
And
you
we
know, you
both have a
can't have
musical
harmony.
background.
Yes,
You have a musical background, I have a musical background. So like this is a topic that's like dear to us, right?
absolutely. And, you know, and like, so there needs to be distinction between the two sounds in order for there to be harmony. Otherwise, you only have unison. And so that's kind of, you know, that's pretty profound actually, when you kind of stop to just be with it for a second, you know. And I think for us as humans, we long for connection and relationship. We long for having that somebody to play with, right? I often describe it, you know, as a Libra, as like, I need a tennis partner, you know, like I need to hit
Right.
the ball and have somebody hit it back to me, or otherwise I kind of get lost and confused. I don't really know. I just start hitting a
Right.
bunch of balls and I'm like, I don't know where I am. I don't know what's going on. I need
Hmm.
that feedback from something outside of me to help me understand, you know, my positioning in the world. That's kind of a Libra thing.
Totally.
Or part of my experience is Libra. But I think from the, you know, from the world of music and harmony, so much becomes available to us when we work beyond just the singular, right? When we allow something more to come in. And, you know, as humans, like relationships are so key for that. And, you know, that might be intimate relationships, but it's also, you know, work relationships and friendships and, you know, social and family. So with, you know, with your Libra moon, how would you say relationships has been, you know, important in the sort of the structure of your world, Vanessa?
Well, you said a couple of key things, and as far as like our collaborations, like that's one of the key words. It's like there's this desire for partnership, there's this desire for co-creation and collaboration that sort of drives me. Like my son's an Aquarius, so I am a very individualistic person in my creativity, but like when it comes to like creating bigger things, I really do have this drive to create in collaboration and to have partnerships that create something greater than what I could do alone.
And you know, so this reminds me a little bit of like in our Virgo episodes, we were talking a lot about service, right? And wanting as an individual to contribute to something bigger, right? That was our coherent contribution. And what's fun is we take a lot of those things from Virgo and bring them over here into Libra. We can take that service to a whole new level when we're in collaboration with others. So that's where like, you know, again, that magnification, that amplification, or just even that analogy of the symphonic music, right? Like a solo violin playing by itself. Cool. It's beautiful.
Mm,
It's amazing. A lot of cool things you can do. But like you put it with a quartet, oh my God, it becomes, you know, so much more dimensional. There's
mm.
so much more that can happen. And then you add it into, you know, a whole orchestra where then all of these different parts and pieces work together and create something truly phenomenal, right? Like
Mm.
really, really, really amazing what can be created through collaboration and harmony.
Oh my gosh, I just had this whole light bulb come on for me as well because, we've been talking about the new paradigm. We've been talking about this new era of peace and harmony and this new time on the planet where consciousness is shifting and awakening at this like really rapid rate. And we've been talking about this for, I don't know, the last 15, 20 years. I have, right? You have,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And one of the things that I've been like kind of watching, and experimenting with over the last many years on my own spiritual journey is this concept of collaboration over competition. Because in the new paradigm, we actually need to collaborate. Like you said, you know, the whole thing that you were just saying about music and the orchestra, like so much depth can be woven when there's more elements involved versus just like the lone wolf, like sad violin, right? So, but also just like one of the ways that we have seen, you know, society evolve, you know, in areas like business and industry and, you know, economics, all these different areas is like competition.
Yeah.
And also like, you know, the areas of like this individualism, like every man for themselves. And over the last, you know, many years, I've experimented with all these different ways of like, how do you do work in collaboration? How do you co-create with a bunch of different people or create partnerships in a way that's sustainable and in a way that actually is fun and joyful and effective? Because like partnerships are relationships.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it kind of goes into, you know, this the shadow side that we can like dive into now of like when you have this desire for harmony and when you have like, you know, you really want to collaborate and be in relationship and find this beautiful bliss point of like becoming one with somebody else, like what can be the shadow and pitfall of that? And like I think for me what I've seen and like I would love to hear from you too, what I've seen is like there's such a desire for harmony that it goes even like extreme into
Yeah.
like people pleasing or codependency or like not having boundaries because you so much want this relationship, or there's other fears that you have about like losing the relationship that you lose yourself.
Yes, exactly. It's exactly what I was going to say is like, I think the number one challenge or, you know, shadow aspect of Libra is kind of losing yourself in the relationship. And it's easy to do. It's really easy to do for Libras. And I think, you know, in general, but I think especially because Libras seek that harmony. You know, we seek to be like, oh, okay, great. I don't want to cause friction or dissonance or disharmony or, you know, rock the boat at any level or make something ugly, right? Like I want to create beauty. So
That's a
oftentimes
good
it's like
one.
the best way to create beauty is to just fall in line. And like,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
really, because it doesn't actually honor the real beauty, the real magic, the real you know, what's there in the scales, which is like you can't just, you know, like if you jump to one side and you just default to like, oh, okay, I guess we're doing this, like then there is no balance, there is no other side, there's not that play of the light and the dark, of the, you know, the yin and the yang, the giving and the receiving, you know, it just gets completely lost. And then the magic of Libra can't do its thing, you know, it just completely really collapses in on itself.
Yeah, I mean, I was also thinking about, you know, in that dynamic of the shadow Libra, like one of the other things that is interesting is like the fear of conflict. I don't know if I mentioned that because, you know, we'll get into it in the next episode, but Aries is a Mars. So like there's this fear
Right.
of like actually having a boundary or actually having, you know, having an argument because there's such an attachment to the relationship and to the harmony that like
Yeah.
you're too afraid to like rock the boat, like you said.
Yeah. So you had asked me before about, you know, how is Libra showing up for you? And I put you off a little bit. Okay, so we'll talk about it now.
Yes,
And
I would
so
love to hear.
it's been a little bit brutal. And it's been brutal on this topic specifically. And really about, I mean, about boundaries, but you know, when we talk about boundaries, it sounds so like, you know, I'm trying to define and put some walls up, and you know, it feels very, like you said, Aries and or you know, Mars energy, or severe. And what's interesting is like there is an interesting severity that exists in Libra, and people, you know, tend to feel it as this light sort of like fluffy sign, and that is, you know, actually one of the shadow aspects of Libra, like you mentioned, kind of being more at that superficial level, or like oh, we're just going to keep things light and bouncy so that we don't end up tapping into those deeper spaces where there is disconnect or discord or something. And so really, you know, the beauty of Libra is to be able to find where we can rebalance and reharmonize if something's gotten off. But if, you know, if Libra doesn't have the strength to then really hold that deeper connection point and hold the self in the midst of the, you know, like you said, the fear of conflict, then, you know, then again, the magic sort of disappears. The opportunity to create that harmony no longer exists. So for me, it's kind of been like super duper up in my face in the last couple of weeks. And so, you know, yes, my sun sign is in Libra, but my Mercury is also in Libra. And I think I have one more sign in Libra.
Wow.
One more in Libra. Yeah. So I have a lot of Libra energy. And so for me, so much becomes about relational. And I'm really good at seeing other people's perspectives. I'm also incredibly empathic, which isn't necessarily a Libra thing. I think it comes in a little bit more. I have a Pisces rising. So kind of a little bit more of a Pisces thing, but I'm highly sensitive. And so I pick up on and perceive a lot of things. And so it's easy for me to kind of get caught up in a little bit of the sort of hall of mirrors, you know, where it's like, oh, which piece is where, and like what's happening and where's the refraction, and this relationship's not clean because of this, and this piece is off because of that. And, you know, so it's like having the superpower of, you know, the Libra harmony, you know, like understanding when something's off doesn't automatically give me the skill set for, you know, bringing it back into harmony, because Libra so much just wants it to be like that immediately, right? Wants to rebalance those scales. So actually I have here on my altar the you know, the Justice card. So in the tarot, you know, the sign that you know, Libra is the sign of the tarot card Justice. So you see, if you can see her, she's holding the scale. So this is Lady Justice. But the scales oftentimes, you know, in the imagery, both for tarot and other places that you'll see with, you know, gods and goddesses associated with justice, that you're going to have the scales with the sword. And so it's not, they don't really work in isolation necessarily, those scales, that they work in conjunction with the sword, which really is the sword of truth. It's like, tell the truth about what's really here, you know, cut through those superficial layers to get to what's really underneath. And that's kind of, for me, you know, where the real magic of Libra lives. And I think, you know, as a mom and as a, you know, with a partner and, you know, so many relationships on so many levels, the number one thing that kind of messes me up in the world of doing that, you know, finding that deeper truth and using that sword and the scales effectively, is having the right space for it, having the right kind of time. And, you know, it's interesting when you think of, you know, these mechanisms for how we work in life, you know, the scales being a measure, and, you know, they're measuring a number of different things, but, you know, time is another measurement. And so when we don't have the proper time, you know, to like take the time to get to a deeper level of understanding in a relationship, or take the time to create the communication with somebody, or take the time to establish clear boundaries so that you can keep whatever's going on in the relationship really clean and clear. And so
right,
it's
and balanced.
And balanced. Yeah.
Yeah.
How has that shown up for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think all of these themes are really relevant to my own experience. And one of the things I was thinking about too is just like you were talking about, where we keep coming back around to the sound and the harmony and the music and the sound healing. It's like, I think it really comes back down to, like, in order for you to find harmony, or in order for you to find balance, you need to know yourself. Like you said, you need to like take the time to know what it is that you need, and to take care of yourself, and to find that balance of like self and other. And if that's out of balance, then you can take responsibility. But if you're not aware of it, and it's just out of balance, like you're basically then going into the shadow waters of like the people pleasing and the fear, all the different fears that help you lose yourself.
Yeah.
So it's really about finding yourself in it, remembering you and like who am I, like what are my gifts, and then what do I need to keep myself and the relationships in balance.
Yes. And I as you're speaking, it reminded me of something so big in the world of music as musicians, but in general, is to be able to hear yourself. So,
Right.
like, you're singing in a band, you're singing in a choir, you're singing, you're playing an instrument. Can you hear your own
Tune.
output,
Hmm.
right?
Note.
Exactly.
Hmm.
If you can't hear yourself, then chances of you contributing, in harmony to the bigger collaboration is small, right? Like, you have to
Right.
sort of be able to know, are you in tune? And so, and which is funny because what I was saying before, that I was oftentimes as a Libra, I'm like, okay, help me understand me by going outside of me, which then becomes, an interesting dichotomy. But I have to then take the time first to know what I'm putting out, right? What is my note? What is my pitch? So I'm trained as a
Yeah.
singer. So I've sung in choirs for so many years, right? And sung in groups, and like, you got to hear your pitch and be able to hold your pitch, and then know, are you singing in harmony? Are you on pitch? Are you on key?
Right.
And if not, what do you need to do to kind of shift that? Otherwise,
Exactly.
like, one of the things we love to do with my family is sing in rounds, and like, if you can't hold your round, right, your verse of the song with somebody else is singing, it's easy to just sort of default into like,
Hmm.
oh, whoops, you just got to jump in with somebody else that's a stronger singer, or has a better ear, or whatever that is that makes them certain within themselves of what they're holding. And I think that's a beautiful way of speaking to this Libra. Kind of just the flip side of what we said about not losing yourself is having enough self-confidence, right? Enough connection to yourself to be secure, to be sure in what you're putting forward, to then allow that collaborative harmony to come through.
Oh, I love it. It's so deep. Yeah. And we do know, like, just like, a relationship, when there's disharmony, it's not comfortable. And we keep coming back around to music. Like, we were talking about this the other day, and you and I were like laughing so hard because we're talking about, a symphony or like a beautiful sound healing that's got these beautiful tones and tunes versus like the children's orchestra that's just like a cacophony, and it's like torture, right? like you were saying, if you've ever been to your child's music practice, and it's just like it's terrible. It's painful. So there is the extreme of that. So we have to
Well,
start thinking about ourselves in our relationships in that same way. Like, we have to know what our pitch is. We have to know what our gifts are, and who we are and what we're contributing, which can stand in itself alone and not fall into distraction or fall into the wrong pitch in order to
right.
contribute to the whole. And we all need to be doing that at the same time.
Absolutely. And one of the things that makes that experience so painful, and anyone who's a parent or been to, a kid's orchestra concert or whatever knows this experience, is like, when you know the song and you know how it's supposed to sound,
Oh my gosh,
and
the
you and then
patience.
and because the point is, there's something, that's that Libra desire for, like, oh, I know there's something truly phenomenal that could come about here with all of the instruments playing together. I can feel it, like I know it, like I know the song, I know like what could happen here, like I can sense it, feel it, see it, whatever. And I want that amazing experience of all of these pieces coming together. And then when they don't happen quite right, it's just like, oh,
The beauty.
like
The
torture.
beauty is
Because
just not there. Yeah.
and then what makes it so it can come together? It's mastery, practice, tuning in, being willing to be committed to your part, being committed to your part. And really, I think that's the underlying theme here in the new paradigm expression of Libra, which is kind of, we've been talking about it all along, but that, that's the underlying key to that collaborative harmony, right? Is like, know your part, play it, master it, do it, make that contribution, which I love how it ties in to, all we were speaking about in Virgo, with that coherent contribution. You really refine that there in Virgo and create that purity, that pure expression, and then bring it into Libra and do it
so good.
in the structure of a relationship with other people and multiple other people to create this incredible symphony.
Oh, I love it. It's so deep. We went so deep. It's all these really cool meta concepts. So I'm really excited to have our next event.
Yes.
Yeah, so we're going to be doing our next event in Libra to really anchor the collaborative harmony. And what is it that you need to do and tune into to find your frequency and contribute in this greater way that is fulfilling and is successful and is collaborative, because I think that we're wired for that. We're wired for collaboration and community.
And not only are we wired for it, it is absolutely what is called for in the new paradigm. Like, it is the new paradigm way forward. We're not going to get anywhere without it. And, and that's kind of where so many of those old paradigm structures are really falling. And
it's not easy. It's so not easy. Not.
And, I'm excited for our next episode too, to really talk about where the energy of Aries, which we've had, this, so we're the full moon energy that comes through when we're in the sign of Libra is that Aries, right? So it comes in that fiery, intense way. How can we channel that Aries energy into, to really supporting the challenges that we are talking about here in Libra? And so, we need that both sides of the axis to really help with bringing about this collaboration. So we're going to be emphasizing all of those themes as we come together in ceremony. We'd absolutely love to have you join us. So we do a live event every month working with the Magick of whichever sign we're in. So we're going to be emphasizing Libra and the collaborative harmony, and then leading you through a process. It's a self-ceremony, a guided self-ceremony for you to work with these elemental energies. So earth, water, air, fire. So we're going to be doing air magic here in Libra, and how we can apply that to our lives to really engage this, the magic of Libra, to bring about whatever is being called for you. What is the collaborative harmony that is really being called for you in your life?
Absolutely. So we would love to have you at the ceremony. If you love our content, if you like our conversations, please don't forget to follow us, to subscribe on YouTube and on Spotify. We've got tons of content. We love talking about these things, and we would love to see you online in our ceremonies and also in person. So reach out and connect, and we would love to work with you.
And I'll just say, one more piece on that, which is that Vanessa and I both offer really in-depth in-person work. We have immersion programs and one-on-one work that's going to help you do all the things we've been talking about in this episode, right? Like, how do you tune into you? How do you know your part? How do you hear yourself at a deeper level? So in the ancient mystery school tradition that we are both trained in, we do things like life activations, DNA activations. We do initiations that literally up level your energy system so that you can know yourself, so you can master yourself. And so for those of you who've been on a spiritual path for a while, or you have been trying a number of different things and you're really ready to make that breakthrough, this is likely the thing you've been looking for. And for those of you who may be new to it and you felt this calling, this is an amazing way to create a foundation for yourself in what the spiritual work is all about and truly living your life purpose. So please join us.
All right, everyone. Thanks so much. Bye.